Good day, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Military and Foreign Affairs Network. I am your host, the voice of reason. Today is day 83 in the ongoing war between Russia and Ukraine. And today we're going to initially start out near Kharkov. But first, we're going to talk about the fact that the Russians have finally completely secured Mariupol. The last remnants of Ukrainian forces that were holding out down in the south in that city of Mariupol have finally surrendered to Russian forces, and the Russians now have complete control over Mariupol, including the vast metallurgical plant that was, for all intents and purposes, reduced and destroyed in the ongoing fighting. Now, we do understand that there has been some sort of backdoor negotiations in which there would be a prisoner of war swap. And in all likelihood, those Ukrainian fighters will be back in Ukraine proper, quite possibly fairly soon. Now, ongoing fighting continues near Kharkov. We continue to see some moderate Ukrainian successes. They have been able to split Russian forces within the vicinity of Kharkov towards the northeast. We do understand that Russian forces have withdrawn from certain areas and have not necessarily been openly defeated on the battlefield. At the same time, Ukrainian forces in this ongoing operation are facing very, very stiff resistance directly to the north of Kharkov, within the vicinity of Kocha-Lopan. The Russian forces seem to have stabilized the front lines in this area. And we do understand that Ukrainian forces in this ongoing operation, not just near Kozacha-Lopan, but other areas, both to the and also to the east, have taken significant casualties in this ongoing operation, and we may see a lowering of Ukrainian operations, the tempo of operations, due to the casualties the Ukrainians have taken. We understand that Russian gunships, including K-52 and Mi-24 and Mi-28 gunships, have been used significantly in this area of operations and have taken some toll on Ukrainian forces. And obviously, we are seeing the Russians continuing to deploy large amounts of tube artillery and multiple launch rocket systems against these Ukrainian forces that continue to try and make advances towards the Russian border. At this point, we don't anticipate the Ukrainians will be able to hold their position near the Russian border for very long. They're going to continue to come under withering fire from Russian forces, and in fact, we could be seeing the Ukrainians, after making this more or less a political statement by being able to drive towards the Russian border, then withdraw back to more stable lines near Kharkov. But that is the situation right now, north and northwest of and northeast of Kharkov. Obviously, it is a concern to the Russians, especially the concept of the Ukrainians pushing down towards Izum. And we understand that the Russians have stabilized their lines now also to the northwest of Izum. So the prospect of a successful Ukrainian counteroffensive in the direction towards Izum could prove to be very, very difficult at this point. We do not anticipate the lines both to the northwest of Izum, in this area here where my cursor is circling, and also to the north of Kharkiv will change. Kharkov will change much as the Russians have stabilized lines and continue to subject Ukrainian forces to that again, that withering helicopter gunship and artillery fire, and not to mention tactical air assets as well. So at least the initial stages of success were seen by Ukrainian forces. Some of this success obviously was in part to the voluntary withdrawal of Russian forces, and it is possible that the Russians fell back in certain areas to then have the opportunity to launch retaliatory strikes against these Ukrainian forces that kind of moved into this area here, in which has now seen Ukrainian forces being engaged by Russian forces both to their east and to their west. So was this a trap set by Russian forces? Very possible. We do know that these are some of the battlefield and tactics that we have seen Russians employ in the past. And in fact, this could be a designed Russian operation to trap certain Ukrainian forces in this area and then reduce those forces, again, with what the Russians really excel at, and that's the use of heavy artillery. We're also starting to see the ground starting to dry up quite a bit, and we are starting to see the Russian forces maneuvering much more effective. We're starting to see on the ground with the video evidence that Russian armored infantry fighting vehicles, tanks are maneuvering at a much faster pace in some areas. Obviously, there has been some setbacks in regards to Russian river crossings, and that has been very well documented and has caused the Russians some problems, especially with the capability of the Ukrainians to employ its own heavy artillery supported directly by drone aircraft in these operations. So that is one area where the Ukrainians have done well and the Russians have seen setbacks. But in other areas, we are starting to see Russian maneuver units maneuver at a much higher pace, and they are not as fearful of getting stuck in some of these areas that were very wet and moisture laden with that high water level that made it difficult for Russians to maneuver. So again, we're starting to see better maneuver from Russian forces in some of these areas. I would say watch this area very closely because it would not surprise me if we see some sort of Russian counter-offensive in the area near Kharkiv in the near future. We do know that Russian forces, or the Russians, brought additional forces to kind of create blocking areas, and we have to suspect that some of the Russian withdrawal in some of this area was purpose-driven with intent to possibly launch some sort of operation against Ukrainian forces. So did the Ukrainians bite into some sort of Russian trap? Very, very possible at this point. We're going to have to watch things very, very closely. But the Russians do not appear to be moving and have set up very focused and very determined defensive lines near this area here, near Kozacha Lopan. I hope I'm saying that right. But that's what we're watching for today. We'll continue to watch the situation as it unfolds near Kharkiv, and then obviously further in the south. We do know that the storming of Severodonetsk may have been postponed because of this Ukrainian offensive, and then the reaction that the Russians conducted in terms of that offensive, and possibly the Russians may have seen an opportunity and have adjusted their combat formations to take advantage of what they see within the vicinity of Kharkiv, Kharkov, and those areas. But we continue to watch this very, very closely, and obviously as the situation changes, we will definitely bring you more information. Thanks for joining us. Have a great day.